What if the music you're listening to is literally keeping you trapped within a certain level of consciousness? And why was it back in the early 1900s, the frequency of music was shifted from 432 hertz, which is the energy of the heart, to that of 440 hertz, which keeps people out of alignment with their natural energy and in their hearts? And why is it that a Nazi propaganda officer named Joseph Goebbels insisted that a 440 hertz tuning in Germany should happen because he believed it made people think and feel in specific ways, making them, quote, a prisoner of a certain consciousness, end quote. So if you're trying to control different populations, if you are trying to get people to stay within a certain level of consciousness that keeps them very subservient and keeps them doing what you want them to do, could it be that putting a certain frequency in something that millions, even billions of people listen to on the planet, it keeps them within a certain frequency? Now, even more than that, it is believed that Rockefeller back in the 1930s also insisted on something very similar, wanting that of a 440 hertz standard in 1935 as part of a, quote, war on consciousness, end quote, leading to, quote, musical cult control. Now, it is believed that now that the reason this has happened, why most popular music is tuned to this frequency of 440 hertz, is with a specific intention. And that intention could be to keep people out of alignment with their natural energy because it makes people so much easier to control. Now, this is something that I learned about years ago, and when I read it at first, I thought it was a form of conspiracy theory, but then I literally went deeper on looking into this because there's actually research where they have taken people and put them into that of listening to music that is tuned to 332 hertz, and then taken people and had them listen to 300 or 440 hertz. And what they found is that the difference between 432 hertz and 440 hertz had different responses in the people that were listening to the music. So people that were at 432 hertz, they found that their heart rate would go down, they would feel less anxiety, and they would feel more relaxed. And at 440 hertz, they would feel increase in blood pressure and increase in heart rate, and they would also feel more anxious and more negative emotions. So what I find interesting about this is that this is something you can literally try for yourself. You could listen to that of music that is popular music, and even think about it as well. When you think of, this is gonna be a little bit deeper video than just that of music. It's about understanding how our subconscious mind and how our imagination is controlled through the content that we consume in our reality. Now, personally, I believe that there are people in our reality that understand that we live within a collective consciousness that we're all connected to. And when you can influence the thoughts and the feelings of millions, if not billions of people on the planet, you can control the timelines and the probable events that happen in that reality. Now, to really look at this, you have to start asking yourself, what is the intention, or why is it? Even think about this, the media. 99% of what you've ever seen on the media ever has probably been negative. That's been my experience. Very, very rarely do you see anything positive that's ever put on the media. And if you notice that also most of the media companies there's a few media companies that own 90% of the market share, and 90% of what you see, 99% of what you see is negative. Could it be that once again, there is a certain intention in keeping people in fear and anger, and when people are in fear and anger, they're much easier to control? Now, when you look at this as well, this is something when I started looking at the movies I was watching, when I started listening, even listen to the music you listen to the imagery that comes from it. Listen to the type of the intention behind what it how does it make you feel? And what do you find yourself even thinking about? Now, when you are starting to become aware of this, you may notice you feel different when you are listening to certain music. And when you listen to other music, you actually may feel in a very much positive way. Now, ironically enough, when I go to the gym, this is gonna sound dumb because when I'm going to the gym, I'm going to the gym with the intention of, working out and pushing it, but I don't listen. I used to listen to certain type of music that was probably tuned to that of 440 hertz. And while it would, in a way, when you're going to the gym, maybe I don't know if it's good to feel aggravated or aggressive. However, what I would find is it would also then have me feeling and thinking more tuned to that energy of what I'm listening to. It would have me feel more agitated, but I would find that would trickle on even after the workout. So even though maybe it would help me pump myself up to get a good workout, I found that it had a negative effect on me afterwards. Now, what I listen to when I go to the gym will sound kind of dumb, but I literally listen to theta waves, or I listen to binaural beats that put me into a certain frequency. I go on Spotify, I find that, I listen to that, and it's almost like a meditation for me to work out. Now, I don't listen to that much popular music because I am aware of this information, and I'm aware that when I listen to certain things, it has me thinking, feeling, and acting in a different way. Think about most of what you see. What are the values of most of the music industry that you see? Most of the values might be, especially in certain industries, this might change, but get money, focus on money, hoes, clothes. There's these different focuses. Not all music, obviously. There's also very often a very strong pull towards, it seems like a very needily wanting love energy. And maybe some of that is honestly just some of the artists' expression of what they're dealing with in their life. But some of it, like when you hear a song that says Molly, Percocet, Molly, Molly, Percocet. Anytime I hear that song, I get so triggered because I know it influences so many kids and so many people to think about how cool it is to take Molly and Percocet. And there are people also that through listening to music, which is funny, I was watching a podcast the other day with this guy Russ on it, and he was talking on a podcast about how there are people like Juice WRLD who ended up getting addicted to a certain type of, I don't know if it was lean, it was a specific type of pills, or lean, which is a specific type of drug. And one of the reasons he got addicted to it because he was listening to Future talk about it in his music. And Future didn't even actually take that specific drug, but he was talking and rapping about it, which influenced this guy over here who eventually overdosed on it and died. And imagine millions of people listening to this type of information, this type of energy that's also tuned to a frequency that puts people out of alignment with their heart. And imagine what patterns they're going to have. Now, when I first learned about something, I'm going to share with you right now as well, is I will say that one of the ways I kind of learned about some of this maybe negative intention with that some people might have to control the consciousness on the planet is because certain people want to remain in power. Now, there is someone that I've known in my life, there's someone that basically had information of working with that of like behind the scenes of some type of government organization. I know it sounds vague, but I'm not going to go too much into it. I have gone into it in the CIA video a little bit more that I made. I made a video on the CIA Gateway Experience meditation tapes, which are pretty much what these are. But there's someone in my life that basically told me that if I got these meditation CDs, which puts your brainwave frequency to a different level of consciousness, basically, gives you abilities beyond that which you usually think you have the ability to do. This person was someone I've known most of my life, someone that saw that when I started making videos that I was into this type of information, and then I started talking to this person before they passed away a few years ago. And basically we would talk about consciousness, and he would reveal certain things that he knew through direct experience that really had me opening up my mind and thinking differently. Now, part of it was back in 2017, right after I got on YouTube, and my YouTube channel started to grow, and I connected with this person. He told me that there were these tapes by the Monroe Institute. Now, the Monroe Institute's been around for 50 years. It was that of a wealthy man that didn't make his money off meditation CDs. He was already successful, and he was very passionate about learning about out-of-body experiences. His name was Robert Monroe. And what he did is he'd bring in scientists that would actually do these different type of meditation CDs so that they could then explore reality. There's people like Thomas Campbell and other people that are like free thought thinkers and people that are into this, talk about out-of-body experiences and how we live in a form of virtual reality where we are eternal spiritual beings of temporary human experiences. I find it very interesting. But basically, in the Monroe Institute, what would happen is they would explore levels of consciousness. Now, eventually, of course, the CIA documents that then went banned were like leaked CIA documents from like 15, 20 years ago. That's when this became much more popular because the CIA actually explored using hemisync technology, which balances out the brainwaves in the brainwaves from the left and the right hemisphere, and it would allow people through doing different consciousness exercises to expand their consciousness. Now, what I was told back in that of 2017, 2018, 17, 18, that if I got these meditation CDs, my consciousness would expand. So what I did is I actually got the meditation CDs. And at the time, I spent $500 on these exact meditation CDs. And basically, they are that of CDs that come with a little explanation that explains the different things of how to use the different meditations. And they're basically 2 or 3 CDs per wave. There's 5 waves. And you go in, you can't just skip to like wave 5, which talks about out-of-body experiences and stuff like that. And it's basically guided meditations that help you reach this level of consciousness and these abilities. You have to start from 1, do kind of the boring stuff, and then work your way up. One of my favorite ones in here was on something called repatterning or patterning, which is where it puts you into a certain frequency where it is said that you have more influence on reality. It's like you have more influence on increasing the intensity of feeling inside of your body connected to your mind. And then you are more likely to bring to you the holograms in our reality that resonate with that vision. That is a quote from the actual CIA documents in the form of bringing the holograms towards you through intensifying that energy and having the mind and heart coherence in the left brain to the right brain. Now, with this, I began exploring and experimenting with these CDs back in 2018, and very quickly I began to understand a lot more about my subconscious mind. I had these energy tools that I could use that could help me in a way clear out my energetic field, understand the difference of the different chakras, which funny enough, 432 hertz is the frequency that connects to your heart chakra. 440 hertz connects to that of your third eye, more of your mind. But the idea behind that is what could be the intention is keeping you in your head and also keeping you of influencing your own third eye, which influences the subconscious reality for you and then also the masses. Because think about it, there are billions of people that listen to music. And think about when billions of people are listening to music in a certain frequency and they are, which is connected to their mind, and they're in a certain level of distress or a certain level of aggression, and they're visualizing certain imagery that is in the music, that is affecting the collective consciousness that we all live in. This was something I was very interested in when I had a session with that. I went to a live event with Bashar, someone that I've been very fascinated with for 10, 15 years since my awakening. And basically, I asked him about this specific question on archetypes. And what he said is that there's these collective archetypes that exist within our reality. And we connect to them. You can think of it like the lover, the king, the magician, the warrior. Like these are all different archetypes we can connect to. And Carl Jung talked about this as well. These different archetypes that exist within what are called the collective unconscious. Now what happens is through the different experiences we have of the movies we watch and the music we listen to, it can influence us in a specific way that then influences our subconscious, which brings about certain events. Now I know that a lot of this sounds kind of conspiracy, but when you look at this, you can start to see where this may be a current theme that you see in certain media, certain movies, certain music, of how then later on you may see certain things happen in reality in a very similar way. Now, with what I'm sharing as well, I'll just kind of close the loop on this. These meditation CDs have very much influenced me in using that of the symbolic understanding of visualization to change my own subconscious mind. Now, in the meditations that I have on YouTube, which some of which have 5, 6, 7 million views on some of my meditations that I've made, they're very much influenced by this, by the imagery that I've had in it, and then using symbolic metaphor and imagery to help people change their subconscious mind. And my goal, my intention, is to do the opposite of what the control is from the top down of controlling people's mind, controlling people's energy, and to help people to unlock that energy, to unlock the energy that's keeping them trapped within a certain level of consciousness. And as we do that, I believe we have the ability to come together, because the Schumann resonance is at 8 hertz, or is at a frequency that is in alignment with this 432 hertz that we're talking about. So the nature of the planet and the energy of the music of 432 hertz, even that frequency, can put us more in alignment with our own nature. So one thing I want to start encouraging you to really looking at is the music you are listening to. I'm not telling you to not listen to music ever. I love music. I think music is beautiful and it can put us into certain beautiful states. However, what I want to encourage you to do is to pay attention to the music you are listening to and how you feel. And pay attention to the thoughts and the images that come to mind when you listen to certain music. Listen to the beliefs within the music as well, and to see how that may be programming you. Look at that of the movies you're watching and see how that may have an influence on your subconscious mind. Because our subconscious mind runs 90% of our life, and what happens is until we become aware of what's driving that, what's influencing that, it will continue to have power over us. Now, one thing I'll talk about as well comes from a book called Reality Transurfing. It's a Russian book that has been translated to many languages. It was written by a Russian quantum physicist. A very powerful book on understanding our reality, understanding what is called the space of variations, which you could think of kind of like this infinite number of parallel realities that exist. It is kind of an esoteric book, but there's this one topic called pendulums, which is so powerful that I literally have a tattoo of this idea on my arm because I resonate so strongly with this idea. And this idea has to do with mass thought forms. The idea that when you think certain thoughts, when you feel certain emotions, you are connecting to these larger mass thought forms that have a certain energy and momentum. And sometimes you may think you're thinking your own thoughts when you may be thinking the thoughts of what this quote-unquote pendulum is. Now, there are pendulums around everything. There is a pendulum around the sports team you like. When you're watching the 49ers against the Chiefs, there's a pendulum around each. And whatever energy fuels the pendulum is where the energy is, like whatever has the most energy is normally what wins. This also normally works in presidential debates or presidential running, whether it's positive or negative. That's the funny thing. Look at like Taylor Swift behind the Kansas City Chiefs, right? She has so much energy that's being harnessed. Not saying she consciously did this, but there's so much energy there that even though they were losing most of the game, then they came back and won at the end. There's a certain momentum that happens when there's a certain energy behind something. Now, when it comes to presidential candidates, if you have someone that's receiving a lot of attention, love or hate, many times, that will fuel that person winning. So it's something to become aware of, because many times we think we're thinking our own thoughts. We may be thinking the thoughts of pendulums, these mass thought forms. And the only way to defeat a pendulum, by the way, you can't fight it. The more you fight it, the more you feed it, the more it swings. So what you want to do is you want to observe it, become aware of it, but not react to it. Now, in a similar way, music is literally pendulum. This YouTube channel is a pendulum. I like to think it's a positive pendulum that's helping people free themselves from the limitations in their life. But there are pendulums around everything. Democrat, Republican, money's a pendulum. There are many things that are pendulums, and because there's mass number of people watching them, like movies, there's a certain energy that goes towards them that taps you into that greater consciousness. This is why also listening to like the top, you listen on Spotify, like the top 50 songs in the US or in the world, you're connecting to pendulums. It's literally you're like an antenna that's connected to source energy, but when you're listening to these pendulums, you are literally tuning to the frequency of also the other people that are listening to that music. You may also, I believe this too, like when people curse, I curse sometimes, but when you curse, there's a certain energy of which a lot of people may curse from. It's literally an energetic form that you may be connecting to that may also be linking up more thoughts, more emotions within your energetic field of that pendulum. Now, I'm not saying you're a leaf in the wind of all these pendulums. I'm just saying a lot of times you may not be having your thoughts, you may be having the thoughts of a pendulum. When you do things that are connected to the mass collective unconsciousness, you are, in a way, tapping into an energy that has a certain momentum. And what I encourage you to do is to start to become aware of where your attention is going and start to become aware of how your subconscious mind is being influenced. Now, you take your power back when you take your attention back. Wherever attention goes, energy goes. When you have millions of people focused on something, it grows that within our collective reality. Marketers know this, by the way. If you look at a Super Bowl commercial, which some companies will pay millions, $50 million to get 30 seconds of your time. They understand that whatever you're going to focus on for 30 seconds, if they can evoke an emotion in you by telling some type of story or showing you some visuals, you will then, I feel good. And then you see the Apple product or you see whatever it is, Coca-Cola. And then you're like, oh, I feel good when I see the image of Coca-Cola. And then the next time you're going into the grocery store, you see the image of Coca-Cola and you're like, I feel good or I want that. Because there's an influence. You're literally being programmed. And until you become aware of where your attention goes, you are growing someone else's vision. You are growing someone else's intention. It is time that we come together to wake up. And part of that is where we put our energy. So one thing I do is when I go to the gym, I listen to binaural beats. I listen to music that is probably dorky to listen to. Classical music, I think, has a very high vibration. For a long time, by the way, it has been known within our collective consciousness that music has the ability to heal. The frequency of it has the ability to literally heal your body. Now, at the same time, could it be that at a different frequency, it has the ability to agitate? It has the ability to keep people in fear or anger, or to keep them restless. Because when you look at back in the 1930s, what Rockefeller said, what that Nazi propaganda person said about creating a war on consciousness around the frequency, I'd be very hesitant to be listening to music that's at 440 hertz. Because it would have a certain type of effect on the body, which also keeps us out of our heart and into more of our heads, and keeps us feeling more agitated. And we don't even know why. It's under the surface. These are things that I find very interesting, and I'm just, the main purpose of this video is to get you to look at where you're putting your attention and how you feel when you listen to certain music, and what is the emotion that is making you feel, and not only the emotion it's making you feel, but what is the imagery that's coming to mind when you listen to it. Start to become aware of what it is, and start to become aware of how you can put your energy in the direction that you want. Meditation, I have found to be the most powerful way for me to transform my own subconscious mind. And when you listen to meditation, or when you listen to guided meditations, you can literally program your subconscious mind from the inside out, and even more powerful than that, when you connect to people all over the world doing guided meditation and unity at the same moment, at the same time, it has an incredibly powerful effect. I know it because I've done it. I've had 12,000 people live on YouTube before, us meditating at the same moment, and peace and love, connecting mind to heart coherence. It is incredibly powerful for everyone doing it. You feel the group energy. Now also, if you want to connect that of a free community that I have where I'll be doing live workshops, live meditations, you can click the link below in the description box. It's a brand new community I've started. It's completely free. You join, we'll be doing guided group meditations, and we'll be doing workshops as well. Some of those will end up on YouTube, but if you want to join them live and connect to a community of other high vibe people, you can do so there. And then also, one other thing that you want to become aware of in this whole entire process is, can you commit to changing your subconscious mind by using the power of HemiSync? So I'm gonna go ahead and link another video that I have on the CIA documents, how I unlocked a new reality by applying the gateway experience. It's one of my most popular videos. You can check that video out right here. What if there was hidden esoteric information about how reality works that was so powerful it was literally kept from the average person's awareness? What if the CIA actually had documents that were forbidden or hidden documents that talk about the exact